Coming every Tuesday night in February at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live, it's the Bible is Black History Institute. This year's theme is Great Women of the Bible, Black women who shaped our biblical faith. We will study Eve, Deborah, Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, along with Vashti, Esther, and Lydia. We will study from Dr. Theron Williams' latest book, Great Women of the Bible, Contemporary Conversations. To order your copy and for more information about the Bible is Black History Institute 2021, visit our website, BibleIsBlackHistory.com. We welcome you to the Bible is Black History Institute, and now founder and president, Dr. Theron D. Williams.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Theron D. Williams, president of the Bible is Black History Institute and the pastor of the Mount Carmel Church of Indianapolis, Indiana. And I welcome you to the Bible is Black History Institute 2021. This is our third annual. Normally we meet here in the sanctuary at the Mount Carmel Church of Indianapolis, Indiana. But due to COVID, we have to stream it, and we have to stream it live. And we're doing it via Facebook Live. And we welcome you. This year's theme is Great Women of the Bible, based upon my latest book, Great Women of the Bible, Contemporary Conversations. And the format of our Institute 2021 will be a series of small group discussions based upon the content of my latest book, Great Women of the Bible. And in that book, we look at the great women of the Bible who shaped our faith, who helped to lay the foundation for our biblical heritage. We look at great women such as Eve, Judge Deborah. We look at Queen Vashti, and then we look at Queen Esther. We write about Mary Magdalene. We write about Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Lydia. These 7 women who helped to lay the foundation of our biblical heritage. And we study them. And we will be each Tuesday night at 7 o'clock in small group studies. I do encourage you to go to our website, BibleIsBlackHistory.com, and order a book so that we can rush it out to you so that you can follow along and be a part of the conversation. We have wonderful conversations coming up every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and we want you to tune in and to become a part of what we're trying to accomplish here at the Bible is Black History Institute. We study these great women, black women, who made tremendous contributions to the Hebrew faith, the faith that we practice. And we'll discover in our studies that these black women of the Bible went through some of the same thing black women today have to endure, they have to face. And so you're going to be blessed as a result of being a part of our Bible is Black History Institute 2021, where again, the theme is Great Women of the Bible.
Good evening and welcome to Great Women of the Bible, Contemporary Conversation. My name is Reverend Lola Bartlett, and I'm an associate minister at Mount Carmel Church. I'm also the director of education and ministry. And today, I have 3 beautiful women of God to join me in a contemporary conversation on Dr. Theron Williams' book, Great Women of the Bible. And we will be discussing the first chapter of his book, Eve, You Are So Beautiful to Me. So, ladies, we'll just start with Sister Tawanda. If you would introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
So my name is Tawanda, call me Tawanda, and I am an associate minister of Mount Carmel, Dr. Theron Williams, my pastor, and my vocation is I'm a staff chaplain for trauma neuro ICU at a level 1 hospital, trauma hospital. And I've served in the military 26 years, and I'm also an author, and I just love people. So that's one thing that I do. I just love people.
Wonderful. Okay, and Reverend Jobbers, if we can get you to introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I am Erica Jobbers.
Erica.
I have roots in Mount Carmel, grew up there as a child. I moved to Atlanta, where I now attend the Dream Center Church of Atlanta, where I serve as the Executive Director of Christian Education. Been ordained in ministry for about 17 years and teach elementary school as well. Been teaching for 22 years. And I'm also a mother of 3, and I'm a widow as well. So looking forward to the discussion on tonight. I also host a women's Bible study on the first Wednesday of every month. And so I love talking about what the issues that concern women. And so I'm just excited about tonight.
Awesome. That is awesome. I love it. And we also have Minister Thompson with us.
Hello, I am Minister Jasmine Thompson. I also have roots at Mount Carmel. I was a pew baby there. And then I got married and moved on to my husband's church. And I am the director of Christian education at God's Grace Community Church. I work in human resources, so I'm kind of in leadership. I'm a human resource manager. So that is kind of what I do right now.
Cool. Well, welcome, ladies. I am so glad to have you guys here, and I'm just really excited about this because God knew what He was doing when He put all of you on my heart to ask you to be here today. Because it sounds like we all just fit in right together. So before we start our conversation on Dr. Williams' book, Great Women of the Bible, I want to give a short overview of the beginning of the first chapter. So Dr. Williams starts his book at the beginning of time with Eve. Eve, her name means the mother of all who lived. Some suggest that her name simply means life. Dr. Williams states that ultimately Eve is our mother. We might say that Eve is the greatest woman of the Bible simply because she is the beginning of womanhood. She is the first woman. Dr. Williams begins this chapter of his book by describing God's essential function of the woman, motherhood. And then dives right into, yes, it is, and then dives right into his argument that stems from the title of this chapter, Eve, you are so beautiful to me. In this argument, he begins by stating scientific findings from Rebecca L. Cann, who is a geneticist at the University of Hawaii in Honolulu, along with her team of scientists. Dr. Cann and her team of scientists conducted a research project to determine the historical identity of the mother of modern humans. Dr. Cann's team analyzed the DNA of 147 people from indigenous communities around the world. The team was particularly interested in mitochondria inside the human cells. Both males and females carry mitochondria in their DNA, which can only be transmitted through the mother. Dr. Cann's team published the findings of their research project in 1987, concluding that the mother of modern humans is a Black woman who originates in Southern Africa. They argue this woman, known as mitochondrial Eve, lived between 100,000 and 200,000 years ago in Southern Africa. And as a result, all humans today can trace their mitochondrial DNA back to her. Now, Dr. Williams goes on to argue that if the account of the Bible is correct, then Eve is the only woman who was created by the actual hand of God. He then quotes Genesis 1:27 that says, in the image of God, he created them, male and female created he them. Dr. Williams also quotes 2 Enoch 44:1-3 from the Apocryphal that reads, the Lord with his own two hands created mankind, and in a facsimile of his own face, small and great, the Lord created them. Dr. Williams then states that God created Eve to look like God. He then goes on to say, in Eve, we find the original standard of goodness and beauty. Because of the fall of humanity, the divine standard of beauty has been replaced by social constructed standards. God's standard of human beauty has been rejected in favor of an idea of human beauty established by societal systems. He says societies agree on what constitutes beauty, and that becomes the new standard. Dr. Williams goes on to explain that when the concept of beauty ignores the internal divine essence and only concerns itself with the external qualities, the idea of beauty is reduced to a mere illusion and is no longer real. So, what are your thoughts? First, what are your thoughts about the book, specifically the first chapter, Eve? You are so beautiful to me. What are you all's thoughts? So you can go ahead and take yourself off of mute there.
Okay, my initial thought was it just confirmed for me how valuable and how bad I am as a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, nothing beats the Black woman. And I mean, okay, you heard the saying, often imitated, never duplicated.
Oh, yeah.
I thought about how so many other women and other cultures try to be like us with the lip injections, from the hair to everything. And that just further confirms that we are the OG, what we call the OG, which is the original.
Come on now.
And so it was really empowering for me to just confirm that I love when he said that Eve was the only woman who was created by the hand of God. And to know that I come from that, and the Bible already speaks that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, it was very empowering for me. So that's what my thoughts are.
It was. I thought so too. What about the rest of you?
So for me, I have to be honest. So it was a great read, and two things that stood out. I like the fact that in Dr. Williams' writing that he did give the evidence-based science as well as the spiritual. And so whoever the audience will be, if it's someone who do not believe in God, you have the evidence-based science that's in this book, and you have, which is traced back to Mother Eve. And then you also have that the word, the word of God, that God created both male and female, Adam and Eve. So whichever side you own, side A or side B, it don't matter. You can turn it either way and the truth is going to stand. So I like that. And also what Reverend Erica said, I totally agree, but I have to be honest. I'm going to be totally honest. When I got to the end of the chapter, I said, where is Eve? I missed her. And we can probably bring that up later on when I can share my story of how I missed her. So I missed her, and here she is. I mean, a beautiful picture. And so I had to ask myself, did I miss her because she didn't have fair skin and red lips and long blonde hair? How did I miss her? I missed her in this book, and I missed her in life. And so I have been doing some deep reflection since I've read the first chapter. I mean, I am really, there searching. So, yeah.
I can say the same too. I've been having some deep reflections going on, you know, as far as because this book really makes you think. It makes you think, and the questions do too. How about you, Minister Thompson?
So I feel the exact same way that everyone else does. I felt affirmed as a young Black woman in society today, when everyone is trying to, you know, cause themselves to be what is considered in American society as hyper feminine, and lip injections and all the other injections that you can get right now. It helped me to center my mind on what God intended to be true beauty, and what his idea of true beauty and divine design is. So it was very affirming for me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I am so glad. You know, I read this book, and then I kept wanting to go on, but I knew I had to study in the first chapter but that the introduction just really kept me, it caught my eye, and it was just a great introduction. So we're just gonna, we're gonna go ahead and dive right into the questions in which we have. And so our first question, I'm going to ask Reverend Jobbers to take this first question. And the first question, as you guys have read, is how do you think your relationship with your children affects their current relationships? So how do you think your relationship with your children affects their current relationships?
Well, I would say that for me, I feel like I am my children's first teacher. And so I have to model for them the relationships that I want to see them have with other people. I have to model it for them. And so I feel like as they see me being loving and compassionate and forgiving and being a servant, those are all the qualities that they learn. How relational behavior is learned. So I feel like the way that not just the way that I interact with them, but the way I interact with others teaches them how to interact with others. Especially in the times that we're living in, and we see so much. I think we've seen over the course of the last 4 years a rise of hatred and division, and a lot of that it comes from home. It's learned, and so I try my best to make sure that I don't want to sound cliches, but we had the old saying, "What would Jesus do?" I have to catch myself sometimes in how I interact with others, because my children are watching. They see me when I'm angry. They see me when I'm sad. They see me when I'm happy. And so how I react is how they ultimately learn how to react. I even find myself trying to, even in conflict, allowing them to see how I handle conflict. When you have something going on, I'm just using a random example with a bill or erroneous charge. I can't call the company going off and cussing and fussing and acting crazy, because ultimately that's what they will learn how to do. I have to, be poised and learn how to conduct myself, so because my children are watching. And so I try to always model behavior, the same behavior that you would see in the street. I try to model that at home so that my children do the same.
And we can look in the Bible where it tells us to train up a child in the way that they should go, and then they won't depart far from it. So when we look at that, it proves to be true, and I can say that it is true, because my girls, they are grown and out of the household, and I remember having to adjust the way that I dressed. That was one of the first things that I remember catching myself on, especially with my oldest girl. I was young then. I was 22 years old, and I was still, I was still dressing like I was single. Mary still dressing like you were single with no children. And I don't know, if that is something to say, well, what does that mean, married and dressing like you're single with no children? Well, the thing is I believe that I know as a woman that when I dress a certain way, it may catch the eye of a man. Or it might just be that I'm liking on myself, right then. And I know as a woman that the way that I dress is going to affect the way that my girls dress. I'll tell you, I prayed for 3 boys, and we got 3 girls. 3 girls, because I just wanted to keep the way that I was. But I see now, going back to that scripture, that God is the one who changed me, and that dress was the first thing that I say I changed, because I had 3 girls, and I thought to myself, do I want them walking around like this? Am I going to allow them to dress in this manner? And my answer to myself was no. My mother didn't allow me, but I did it once I got out of the house, So I had to make that adjustment for my girls. And so I do, and I see that it did pay off. I see those things that were important to me are also became important to my children. In the way you represent yourself, your children pay attention. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go on to the second question, unless we have anyone else who have something to say on that one. Okay, question number 2, Reverend Bush, if you can answer this for me, how does it make you feel to discover that God only created one woman by hand, and she was a Black woman from Africa?
Okay, wow. So it made me feel really good, special, that that's what God, my Father, created. But at the same time, I felt robbed from that, because God, our Father, created this beautiful Black woman. And because we were taken away from our land, from Africa, our culture and our heritage, and brought to this European country, that I think that if we look at this in the framework of isms, sexisms, and racisms, and classisms, all that was taken. And I have to admit, it was taken from me, because when we were brought over to America, we seen the European culture. And so everything that God created, this beautiful Black woman, I never got to embrace until I read Dr. Williams' book. And I'm really, for the first time, I'll be honest, I'm accepting my Blackness, who I am. And sexism, if I can say it, the sexism, the ageism, when you look at the European women, we were slaves and we didn't have everything. And they had the pink curls and they had the fair skin and they were glorified, and we were treated the lesser than. And you look at the sexism, we were looked at as Jezebels and hypersexual. And so the minute we broke free from that in 1970, Dark and Lovely, I was there. Sign me up, I want to affirm. So I need to get back to my Father, what he created, this beautiful Black woman. So yes, I'm searching for that. I'm trying to get there. I'll be honest. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I identify with who I am. I'm a Black woman, and I'm very proud. All of it was taken from me. So this seems, and I know for some people it's normal, but this seems brand new to me, and it should be.
Oh, wow.
It shouldn't be. I'm a
Yeah.
Black woman, and I don't fault anybody in my heritage, my family. It's just that I know where I need to really, I need to really look at this and examine myself.
Oh, that is awesome.
I'm grateful to
That
God.
is
I am a Black woman.
And we've been praying that this is, I think, I'm sure he's praying that this is an awakening for a lot of women, for a lot of women, for a lot of women. So, Minister Thompson, what do you think about the scientific depiction of the mother of modern humans? Is she ugly, beautiful, average? To what degree do you think culture influences your opinion of this image? Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, I think that she is beautiful because God designed her to be beautiful. She was good in His eyes when He created her by
Oh,
hand.
yeah.
And so for me to determine whether or not she is ugly or anything like that, even by today's standards, would be at fault.
Amen.
Because
Amen.
I am not the creator. I am not the judge and jury of that at all. So to say that Eve was ugly or whatever the case may be, I would not be a good judge of that. I think that she's beautiful because God made her that way.
Amen.
And that's how He designed and intended her to be. Now, culturally, she may be seen as different, and that's just me being completely honest. Because what culture has instilled within African American women is that braids are ugly, our hair is ugly, our skin is too dark, too ugly. And even when it comes to not just racism or sexism, but colorism is a huge issue within the Black community. And it's not just other cultures doing it to us. A lot of times what I find and what I found growing up is that it's us doing it to ourselves. The colorism. So that is something that I hold Black skin, dark skin, fair skin, I hold that to be sacred and a vital part of our design, but I don't see it as something that determines necessarily whether or not you are beautiful, because God created us all to be beautiful by His standards.
Oh, yeah.
The word says that we are wonderfully made, and I truly believe that.
Man, that was
Good. That is so good. That is really great. So, Reverend Bush, do you think that you bear any resemblance to the mitochondrial Eve? If so, what are the common traits?
Yeah, if I take off my wig, there are some common traits in our hair. If I can be really transparent, yes, I love the coils. I was looking at it. I studied it when I went back and said, "Where is Eve?" And I said, "Oh gosh, I see her, and I see her hair." Yeah, so our hair is alike. I say that. And her brows are thick, and I have thick brows. So yeah, there is the resemblance there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I said at first. I had to look at that and I say, you know what? A long time ago, I probably would have said,
She don't look like me.
Like her. Because I didn't want to look like her because of social standards.
Of course.
But when I look at her, I see all of my traits.
Yeah.
I see my nose. I see my full lips. And I remember, back in the 70s, it wasn't cool to have full lips, know, and you would use makeup to try to make them look smaller. But then all of a sudden, somebody from a different color decided that the full lips were beautiful. And then all of a sudden they became beautiful. I already had them, because God made them that way. So that's something there. Okay. Reverend Jobbers, do you know anyone who favors this depiction of Eve?
all of us.
Come on, come
I
on.
felt like there is a part of all of us in
Yeah.
this Eve, whether it be the hair, the lips, the nose, the eyebrow, even the divine essence of her. I like how Pastor Williams spoke not just of the physical, but
Yeah.
the divine within her. And we can all relate to that. God has his hand on all of our lives, and he breathed the breath of life into all of us. And so there is not just the physical beauty that we see when we look at that picture, but also the essence, the image of God.
Amen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I feel like we all favor her.
Oh, yeah. I would say that too. So if this
Yeah.
is um, Sister Reverend Thompson, if this is the true image of the biblical Eve, should it be the standard of beauty? If so, why or why not?
I would say yes, because it's God's standard.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't matter. I understand, the context of culture. I totally get it. But God's standard reigns forever. And that is something that we as Christians should adapt ourselves to. And it really doesn't matter necessarily the race. We should always be adapting ourselves to Christ's
Oh,
standards.
yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
This is true. This is true. And you guys can chime in whenever you feel like it on one of these other questions also. Um, Reverend Bush, do you believe you have internalized the white standard of beauty? If so, how? How? If not, how could you be sure?
Oh, I would have that question. Yes,
Oh,
I have internalized the European white style of beauty. And as I shared earlier, how when we were taken away from our heritage and our land and we came into the
mhm.
European culture, that was the standard of beauty. And so when you want to be accepted and you want to be beautiful, you start doing these things to hopefully think that this is the way it is. And so, when you look at, we did the slave owners children's hair, so we know what their hair was like. It was straight and it felt different from ours, and they had all the products. And I say this, what I do have natural hair under here, and I am embracing my hair. And if someone wants to touch my hair, we always say no. You know what? We need to let them touch it because we've touched theirs for years, and that's why we wanted it. And so they're just curious. If your hands are clean, if I'm in a good mood, I may let you touch my hair. It's just a normal sensory of our minds. We want to touch something. That's how we are as humans. And so I think that too, so they can embrace it. And they don't have to. I don't need their permission. They don't ever have to embrace it. But I don't want to let them not know who I am because I know who y'all are for years. You can know who I am. If it means that you need to touch my hair, if it's going to make you get an understanding, I want to help you because I'm not going anywhere and my natural hair will be here. So, but yes, as far as the culture, yes, it has changed me. And I'm wrestling with that. This book is really not only just took me to another place mentally and emotionally and spiritually, but there's some convictions that I'm wrestling with. And I was like, oh my God, I've been into moments with God, talking to God.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I'm right there with you. I would have to say that at one time, and I can say at one time, I had internalized the white standard of beauty because I was taught it. We were inundated by it through media, through commercials. This is what you saw was that your hair needed to be straightened.
Yeah.
And I remember, that in the 70s, if my hair wasn't straightened, then I'll tell you, I felt like it wasn't right. It wasn't right. I felt like it was nappy, and nappy was not a good thing then. Nappy people want, then nappy was not a good thing. And so I remember, because in my household, that's what my parents did. We had that straightening comb that he was talking about. We had those straightening products that we placed in, we put in our hair to make our hair straight. And we hurt ourselves doing that stuff too, trying to meet that standard. But I have to say that my kids, especially my youngest one, that one over there, they helped me come through that. They helped me embrace it because, I got to the point where I could not wear perm in my hair and keep it straight because it was affecting my skin. So I had to let it go. And so then but my kids, they started saying, oh, that's cool, and oh yeah, I like that natural. And when I started seeing them be free, because in the 70s, they said the Afro was free.
Oh yes.
The Afro was free, but not the nappy Afro.
Oh, it was blowout.
Those
It was blowout.
Blowout. Out.
Yes.
So I have to say, at one time I did internalize it, but now I have to say that I'm free. I do wear my hair straight, and that is because it is lesser of a job for me. I put it like that. So when I go to the beauty shop, she irons it out. I can wrap it at the top of my head and be done with it.
See, that's where I am now.
Yeah.
I've had my hair straightened out.
I've grown used to it.
Yeah.
But I bet it would be easier for me if I had just grown used to my own texture of hair and not straight hair. I would think it is easier, for that. So I will have to say that I have internalized, but I know I'm struggling like you, Sister Tawanda.
I'm going straight to work, and by the end of my shift, it was out here. And let me say this quickly. Yesterday, I was at work and I was walking in front of one of the doctors, the trauma doctors, and I had wetted this weave and it was curling. She was popping, and he said, "Oh," I said, "Hi," I said his name. He said, "Hey, Chaplain." He said, "Oh, by the way, your hair is cute." And I said, I wonder if he would have said it was cute if it was in my natural state and I didn't have the wig on. I'm so convicted by this book. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, thank you. I want to say this isn't mine, but thank you. But yeah.
Can I chime in on something?
Yes, please do.
There is a quote in the book. He says, humans who make up a society agree on what's beautiful, establishing it as the standard. And I begin to even think about how geographically, sometimes, because I've been in Atlanta for so many years, when I first got here, and I can even speak for now, like everybody is natural. Like it's not like, I've been natural for years. My hair is straight now, but I don't have any chemicals in my hair other than the color. Right. But I mean, I even noticed like when I come home, there were only certain stores who sold certain products, as where here, it's like you can find it anywhere. But that's because the standard is natural hair is just, it's beautiful. Yeah. And so it's almost like if your hair is not natural, it's like who's relaxing their hair anymore now? So I don't know. I think it's Erica. I think it's really interesting how we have evolved as a people. And I even thought about, there's one more thing I wanted to point out in the book that says that the social construct of ugly was a necessary invention for the perpetuation of the illusion of beauty. The idea of ugly must be the total opposite of the idea of beauty. And I begin to think about how spiritually, the enemy is the father of lies. He's a deceiver. Satan is a deceiver. And so we've been deceived. That's nothing but the enemy at work. We've been deceived all these years thinking that we are not beautiful when we are the original image of God. And so anytime that I start feeling down on myself or not feeling like the vessel that God has created me to be, I try to remember that that is contrary to what the word of God says.
Oh, yeah. Amen. I embrace that. Thank you. I do.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That's
I,
why
I
I
would like
love
to
this book. I
chime
love this book.
in.
Go ahead.
Hmm.
So from a younger person's perspective,
Hmm.
there's a new term out now that we're using that is called code switching.
Oh
So
yeah.
what code switching is um when you change your voice,
Oh, that's
you
old. Code
change
switch.
your hair
Hmm. Yeah.
in order to fit into
Hmm.
a certain
Mhm.
Yeah.
social group or whatever social group you're being a part
Hmm.
of to seem less threatening
Hmm. Yes.
Oh
to
yeah.
that group.
Hmm.
That is called code switching, and a lot of us, even I'm guilty with
Hmm.
this. I am
Hmm.
so guilty of this.
Hmm.
There's been so many times where I've gone to work and my hair, I wear wigs too sometimes.
Hmm.
I wore one yesterday.
Hmm.
So whenever I start a new job,
Hmm.
I'll wear my hair straight for a while
Hmm.
to kind of see if
Yeah.
it's safe,
Yeah. It's
to
crazy.
adjust myself to the temperature of the environment and the
Yes.
temperament of the environment, and then
Hmm.
eventually I'll kind of just let it go
Yeah.
and kind of see what they say. But a lot of times the first comment is that your real hair? Or I love it when your black girl comes out. I've
Oh
actually
my
had
God.
that said to me
By
in
a black
corporate
lady or
settings.
a white lady? Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
What does she love about it?
I
I would
mean,
like, what does she love about it? What does she mean by that?
I don't know what she meant.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's been said on multiple occasions,
Mm.
multiple companies, and
Mm.
these are corporate,
Yes.
people.
Mhm.
And I don't think that there was meant to be any harm, but
Yeah.
code switching for young people and for a lot of people is a survival technique.
Yes.
yes.
That is a survival.
Absolutely.
Changing your hair to fit your environment so
Yes.
you don't get bullied. That
Yeah.
is a survival technique.
Absolutely.
That is
Oh,
not just something
it
that
is.
we adopt by happenstance.
And Minister
Um,
Jasmine, we've been code switching forever, like
Yes.
forever.
Yes.
Like that's
Yeah.
Yes,
why
we
we
have
coined by
those
E.B. Du Bois, code switching. So you guys have picked it back up, huh? Code switching. Yeah. Okay.
we've
Yeah,
been
that
doing
was
forever.
before me, code
Yeah.
switching. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That
that
actually
is
coined by
something.
E.B. Du Bois, code switching, and way back then. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is something that I believe is a result of cultural age-old trauma.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
historical
It's
trauma.
Yes.
generational trauma. That is a
Generational.
trauma response to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so true, Minister
That is
Jasmine.
so
Historical trauma.
that is good. Very good.
That,
I
that
like
is
that.
it.
So that was good.
Mhm.
So I'm going to skip forward a little bit because there are some questions that I really wanted to get in here. The next question is, how do you feel about darker skinned Black women? How do you, and I'm going to take this question and then you guys, we can chime in. This question really touched me there. It made me, it was like you, Reverend Tawanda, where you was like, you would ask me that
Right.
one. So this one, it was, it had me thinking. It says, how do you feel about darker skinned Black women? How do you feel about lighter skinned Black women? Do you think lighter skinned women are held in higher regards than darker women? Explain your answer. So this brings me to not an issue, but things that were happening in my own household. Okay, so my own kids, we have different skin tones. Like I said before, I have 3 girls, and we have different skin tones. 2 which are more fair skin, and 1 is darker skin. And people are bold. People are bold, and people would say the children are bold. Now, I don't think boldness has an age. I think it has an ignorance, but not an age. And they would ask me if both of my kids had the same father. And just looking at their skin tone, just looking at their skin tones. And these questions they really weren't about me, but the first time that I was asked that, I said, this is about me. You asking me if my kids have the same father? Yes, they do, and I got with the neck thing. But then, yes, they do have the same father. And then I really realized that these questions were about my girl's skin tone.
Yes.
And so I had one person come to me and no, it was a young girl who went to my daughter, who is darker skinned, and asked her, she said, do you and your sister Jasmine have the same father? And she was like, yeah, why? And she said, and then she came and asked me. And so I said, yes, they do. Do you have the same father as your sister? And because what I found was that my middle daughter, who is the darker skin, she was being the brunt of talk because her skin is a darker, browner skin than my other two girls. And so when he asked, do you feel that lighter skinned women are treated at a higher regard? Yes. And I'm going to tell the truth. Yes, I do believe that more fair skinned women are treated as higher regard, and not just in other cultures, in our own. That's what really hurts, is that in our own culture, because of, we have been taught that white is right and black is wrong. And I guess the closer you are to that tone of black, and the further away you are to that tone of white, makes a difference for people. But when I grew up, in my household, my dad was dark skinned, and we were not allowed to talk about skin color in our own household, because my brother was darker than me, or anything like that. And so really, I didn't have an issue with that because we have all ranges. But it really struck me, and it hurt me because it hurt my daughter. And I didn't know how to actually respond to her when she would come to me and say that some little boy on the bus was calling her black and ugly and things like that. And I remember telling her that God made her, but the way that I said it, I wonder if it did more harm than it did good, because I don't know if anybody remembers how they had come up, and I forget who had came up with this, about how black people's skin became black. Living closer to the equator or to the sun, and you had all of these type of things that were said, and so explaining to her that this is how God created you, was said as an excuse of the color of your skin, when it should have been empowering to say, God made you in his image. You are wonderfully made. And he made your black skin. It wasn't a happenstance. It was on purpose. It was on purpose that your skin is brown. It was on purpose that your skin is black, and not white. So it just really, and yes, we do in our own culture hold, still today, I see it happening. More fair-skinned women at a higher regard than darker-skinned women. I've seen it in my own household. Not seen it happen to my children.
You mentioned mentioned that in your household that you guys never talked about skin color. So and that's fine. But a lot of African American people, we never talked about it. Some people did, and I think that there should have been conversation about it because we didn't talk about it because there's one dark and one light. But there should have been healthy conversations around that. So when the person asked your daughter, were there two different dads? Because she's not had a healthy conversation around color either. And I think that's one of the issues that we have as an African American community, that we don't talk about what this book is saying, that Dr. Williams is writing about, that we are, like Minister Jasmine said, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, like you told your own daughter. But I think it's about, when you look at the reality of the spiritual side and the reality of it, that, you know, people are going to treat you a certain way because of your skin color, but, you know, but give affirmation. So those, we need to have healthy conversations, I think, moving forward, with which we are doing now, you know. But I think a lot of that got missed in my generation because I thought I was brown. I didn't know anything about black and white. My mother never talked about color in my. This is why I'm just like struggling right now, and I'm honest. Somebody asked me a question. I'm gonna finish. Be quiet. Somebody asked me a question in a sorority interview. It was like a speed dating interview. They said, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? And in this moment of laughter and joking, I started crying because it got real to me. And I said, I could change one thing, but I don't know how. And that would be my hair. I have thick, nice hair, and I don't know what to do with it. And so, see, I'm getting emotional about it. This is real to me. This book just opened me wide open. So, I'm trying to embrace all of my blackness. It's beautiful, as Minister Jackson and Reverend Erica said, and you also shared.
Yeah, and I'll have to say that we didn't have those conversations until this started happening. And then I had to start having those conversations with my daughter. You know, I had to start having those conversations with Jasmine and with Brittany, because although it was happening to Brittany, Jasmine was being affected by it. She was asking why. She started asking those questions, you know, where did we come from? And then she got upset too, because when she tried to complete one of her assignments at school, she wasn't able to go as far as the white kids and finding out who was in her family tree. You know, why is this there? You know, and so, you know, you're looking at your family tree to figure things out, and there was nothing there for her. And so it made her frustrated. And so we did start talking about color in my household then, but in my mother's household, we didn't. And I do believe that it is something that probably should have been discussed, but I believe that they were protecting us.
That's it.
Yeah. I would like to in regards to my relationship with my sister, and the question at hand, I think that dark-skinned women are beautiful. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
Yes.
I believe that with my whole heart, because I believe that about my sister. And when I notice that people are treating us different, and people they'll talk slick, they'll make these little comments, and it makes me so mad to this day. Oh, you and your sister don't really look alike. I didn't even think y'all were sisters.
Oh my gosh.
What is that supposed to mean? That angers me so much to this day, that at this point nobody can talk to me about my sister, because I affirm her every chance I get. I tell her, hey sis, you're beautiful. I tell her, hey sis, I love your locks today. They're amazing, because she has these really pretty bright red locks in her hair, and she's just adorable to me. So I remember growing up, that project that my mother was talking about, and having friends that could trace their family history back, and how traumatized I was that I couldn't. And I've been on that search since then. And I've had like these conversations, like I can't, you know, I don't know who I am, because my history doesn't go back that far. I don't know who I am because people died prematurely before their time. You know, that has always been a struggle for me, with me and my sister, regarding skin tone, skin color, and colorism as a whole. That is a topic that I'm very passionate about, because of that. And one thing comes to mind, and it's kind of profound, but I almost don't like it because it makes me angry to watch. Who has seen School Days?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
So
that
for
brought
me
it
and
out
my
a lot.
sister growing up, it was like, I guess, the light skinned girls versus jigaboos.
Oh
That
God.
angered me so
Yeah.
much because watching that, I felt like they were talking about my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see people treat us different, it just, to this day, it bothers me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just colorism. So we're getting close to our time, but I have this last question that I really, really want to get in here. And it says, how do you think, and I'm going to put this out there to any of you because I want all of us to be able to answer, how do you think Eve's story empowers women?
It empowers me because now I'm trying to find who I really am. And I know that I'm beautiful, number one. I know that. I know that I'm created by God. And the strong, beautiful Black woman who is the mother of everyone. I mean, how can I deny that? So this is like my journal right now. This is where I'm going to be journaling from, the writings that Dr. Williams wrote in here, and also doing my own self-reflection and growing. And because I'm going to, when the doors open back at Mount Carmel, it is the Lord's will. I pray that I'm going to come in with my own natural locks and embrace everything about me, who I am. Yeah, so I'm empowered. Yes.
Okay, how about you, Reverend Jobbers?
I think it empowers women because when God created male and female, when he created her, he said it was very good. And when
Yeah,
he created everything else, he just said it was good. But the fact that he said it was very good
yeah.
when Eve was created, I think that that empowers me to know that the greater, there's greater in me, and that when I look in the mirror, I see my flaws, but God doesn't see any of that. He sees something that's very good. And so
Yeah.
it empowers me to live up to what he created, which is something that is very good.
Absolutely. Very good.
And Minister Thompson?
So Eve's story helps me to understand divine beauty and not only just surface beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the difference between the two. Divine beauty, the origin of that is, it just blows my mind just to think about that, being the mother of just being Black, and that being the primary, the birth to all colors, like that in design in and of itself is amazing to me.
Yeah. So for myself, I'll answer that question also. It just empowers me to know that God made me this way on purpose. You know, he made me this way on purpose. He made me a beautiful Black woman. And we come in all tones, skin colors, hair textures, lid size, eye colors, and it's just wonderful. And knowing this allows me to love myself even more, to love myself and to not have to, and I don't have to accept the social standard. I don't have to fit in anymore. I don't have to try to force myself to meet that social standard. And it's just so wonderful that I don't work in corporate anymore to where I have to code switch and it's just so free. I can love me. God allows me to love me, and He allows me to love those who look like me
Yes.
without excuse, because it was so purposeful. And And he allows me to love those who don't look like me because he made them on purpose also.
Absolutely.
So, in this whole thing, and I look inside to find divine beauty. Looking inside of a person and not just on the external, because I tell you, when I look at some people who are socially beautiful, social standards, and they can just be the ugliest person you could ever meet. Thank you all. It was just so awesome. I wish we had another hour to talk about this because we have so many other questions that we weren't able to get to. And this was just some wonderful conversation, some insightful conversation and sharing. And I just really thank you guys. Thank you for being here. And God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you for joining us for this contemporary conversation about Eve, one of the great women of the Bible. Tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. as the Bible is Black History Institute 2021 continues our conversation with Judge Deborah. God bless and have a blessed week.